So I recently rewatched another for the first time in a long time, and I forgot how ridiculous some of these deaths are in this anime, and also how funny they are, because the deaths in this anime are only two ways: either they're super extreme or they're super ridiculous. That's the only way there is. There is no in between. They're either super ridiculous or they're super extreme, because the ones in this anime that are super extreme are the ones that are more shocking, but you also have a whole bunch of them that are very ridiculous with some of the deaths that they have. And honestly, some of the deaths are hella funny, because you're just like, did that really just happen? Now, one of the deaths I always think about a lot in this anime is when the main character and two of his classmates are walking home. This is after like the main character and May, they're basically being treated as like the extra person because they did both of them, but then everybody saw that that failed. So like now he's walking home with two of his classmates, and one of the classmates, he's telling him, he's like, yo, I will answer any question that you have, because now they can basically talk freely and they can answer all these questions. That way the main character just knows all this stuff that he clearly does not know. Just as the character's like, yo, I will tell you anything. This nigga has a heart attack out of nowhere, and it's just like, he was like, yo, I'm about to tell you something out of nowhere, he has a heart attack. And it's just so goddamn funny, because it's just like they pulled it out of nowhere. The main character and the other guy, they're just looking at him, they're just like, damn, did that really just happen? And the funny thing about it is like, you really don't have nobody really say anything about it, because that was just the most random death ever in here, and it's just so goddamn stupid. But there is one other death that I think about a lot, because it's so goddamn funny. Now this is probably the funniest death in the whole show, and it's towards the end, and this is when how everybody finds out how you can get rid of the extra person, how you can break this curse from happening, all this calamity that's all happening, and everybody finds out, oh, you have to like basically kill the person. So you have all the classmates being crazy and they're going after May, and the main character in May, this is when they go out the window, and you have this one girl that's super crazy and she has a knife, and she falls out the window and she busts her shit, snaps her neck, and she basically lands like this. She's basically in half like that, and it's so goddamn funny because the way she landed is so crazy, but it's just funny like the way that she landed and the way they have her looking. I'm just like, god damn, it's one of them ones that you just remember because of how goddamn funny it is. And I will say one of the deaths that's probably one of the most memorable in this whole anime is the one when the girl falls down the stairs and basically the umbrella goes inside her throat and kills her. That's one of the ones people remember a lot because it's very ridiculous. That's one of those ridiculous deaths. But then you have a shocking death, which is the one where the teacher's in the classroom and he basically stabs himself and then all the blood is gushing on all the characters. Yeah, you have that one, which is a big shocking one. So those are two of the most memorable deaths that majority of people, when it comes to this anime, even if they saw it like years ago or when it first came out, those are probably the main two they remember the most. But like there's so many just crazy deaths in here. You have the one, of course, like when the nurse, she is in the elevator and the elevator crashes, she ends up dying that way. You have that one. And then you have a whole bunch of just random deaths that happen towards the end. Like one of the random ones that is very crazy is when the guy with the red hair, some reason he's just like, oh, I'm gonna open the kitchen, and he opens the kitchen and next thing you know all the flames erupt and he just gets burned to a crisp. You have that one. Or you have like when the three students are like running downstairs and like you have the chandelier that crashes and kills like two of them, and you have one more guy that's still alive and he's running towards the exit, and that's when a pillar falls down on him. Yeah, just know the ending stuff of this, that's when you get all the crazy deaths. Also, you have the very wild death of like the girl's brother that dies from a crane that just happens to like come on loose on the street and it like just crashes into the house and kills him. And then also you have the one family where they like it's raining and all that, so like their car slips or something and they fall off the mountain and they die that way. And I think there might have been like an off-screen death too, because somebody that had an illness, either that's the manga or the novel I'm thinking of, but there is somebody that dies like that. And of course one of the ones that is very ridiculous, that's super duper ridiculous because even the way they explain it, is the guy that essentially he goes to get the ball that's out in the water, and then you just see him floating there, and then a boat runs over him and kills him that way. But at the same time, they had to go more in detail and essentially say that, oh yeah, he hit his head before he came on this trip, and that's what actually killed him. And like when he went inside the water, he basically died from that head injury, and then the boat just like cut his body up or whatever. That one was very ridiculous because it was like kind of complicated because they added all this extra shit saying that he hit his head earlier and that's the real cause of his death and not him getting ran over by a boat, which was still so goddamn crazy. And it's just like so shocking because it's like, why is this nigga right here? So yeah, a lot of deaths in here are just so crazy. Just the anime in general, I mean, you could tell that they took a lot of inspiration from Final Destination, especially when it comes to the anime ways. Like if you go with the novel was not really inspired by like Final Destination because they did not do none of that, because the novel was way more tame compared to the anime. The anime was on some, yeah, let's do a whole bunch of Final Destination, let's make all these deaths like ramped up and add even crazier deaths, because like the novel didn't have like half the crazy deaths that the anime did, because the anime had a lot of crazy ass deaths and they went to a stream with that shit, and it was funny though. But yeah, that's the one thing I always remember about this anime, is just like the deaths are so ridiculous. Like they're so goddamn ridiculous, but at the same time there's so many funny ones. Like the rest of the anime, I do like the vibe that it's going, but it is like a quicker pace. Especially if you've read the novels, you would know. Just know sometime in the future I will be making a video that's going to compare the anime, the manga, and the novel. Just know I'm going to be doing that soon, because I recently read all of the novel, I rewatched the anime, and I reread the manga, so I'm going to be having a video on that pretty soon. So if you like another, just know there's some more another content coming out really soon. And maybe even after that we might touch on what happens after the anime when it comes to another. Maybe not, we'll see though. One of the funniest scenes that's still in this anime is when Mei and the main character are running around in the classroom, and it's mainly because the main character, he's having a daydream about like what they could do in the classroom, and that scene is so random and it's just hilarious because it just shows like what they can do. That's because everybody's essentially just treating them as the calamity, and they're saying both of them are, so it's just like, hey, they can do whatever they want now. So he's just daydreaming what they can do, and that scene's just so funny and random, especially in this series. It's one of the few funny moments that's in this series. Now, some other deaths I do have to talk about are the ones when it comes to the flashback, when we get to see like the other class and like how exactly they stopped the calamity. Like how we see the one character got hit by lightning. That scene was crazy. And you have the other scene when the person's falling off the mountain, and that's mainly because everybody's trying to rush off that mountain because you have all the lightning and like stuff's happening. But then also we see like when the one guy gets in a fight with the one dude that actually was the calamity, and eventually he does pack him up. So those scenes were pretty crazy, especially like the lightning one, or when the girl basically just falls off the cliff. That was kind of crazy too. Now when it comes to this series, one of the things I've always wondered is like, why the people in the town, the people at the school, like why did they never just like not have people go to that class? Because obviously that class is cursed. It's like they could obviously put kids in different type of classrooms, or like limit how many kids can come to the school, because like all the townsfolk and all the locals have to see like all the crazy deaths that always happen each year, especially for the people that are connected to the school. How have they not pieced all this together? Yeah, I know some of it is because like the curse does manipulate some type of stuff too, but at the same time I do feel like they could have just dead ass, you know, not had people go into that class, like packed up that class in general. They could just got rid of one class, but then maybe that could have caused a thing where it trickles down to the next class. But who knows though? I mean, maybe it gets addressed in another 2001, but I don't really know though. But I just feel like they could have done so many different things to just like, you know, pack up that class and just make it that it's never a thing each year and just forget about the class. But maybe that would cause more curses to happen, but who knows though. But yeah, that's one thing I have always wondered. It's like, why did they, you know, never just pack up that, or just like handle it vastly different? The only thing they really did was just move schools and just kept the old school back there. It's just one that has like clubs and other stuff in the old library, but at the same time it's just like nothing really worked. So it's like, why did they not try to, you know, just go a year without having that class in general? I feel like that could have worked. That could have stopped the calamity. Maybe not though. But I will say there is another volume that recently came out a few years ago that takes place like years later after the anime, so maybe I might cover that one too though. But yeah, so you guys are a fan of another, just know I will be making more content soon though. But yeah, and then also you have the death like at the very end of the one girl that's chasing Mei the whole time, and eventually like she gets caught up in a rope, and you know what happens there. So there's that one. Or you have like when the one Kazumi guy is basically on a killing spree, and he's basically just killing girls back to back and killing other people because he's trying to like basically be like, oh, do you remember this person or not? So yeah, just know the very end is vastly different than, I will say, the novel, because they were on one. But yeah, they were killing them students left and right, and it was insane. It just adds like a crazy ending for them to like to kill off all them students, because like barely any students really survive if you actually look at it, because like by the end, like it's very insane just like the route that they go in the anime though. But yeah, if you've ever seen another, let me know how you feel about the anime. If you haven't seen this anime in a long time, maybe you should check it out again, because like I said, the deaths are very funny. Some of them are. There's some hilarious deaths, just like the way it happens. Like I said, the heart attack one is so goddamn funny, because this man is like, yo, I'm gonna tell you everything about like what we know about this curse and all that, and he's like, about class 3, third year, class C, whatever it is. He's like, I'm about to tell you all this. Next thing you know, he has a heart attack, and then he just falls on the ground, and it's just like, damn, that curse was like, yeah, you're not about to tell this nigga anything. Packed his ass up. That girl that fell out the window, when she falls and she's just bending like this, like she hit the ground hard as hell. I wish they would have done some slow motion right there. That would have made that shit funny, like some slow motion, or they would have reversed it and done it like 5 different times, because that shit was funny the way that she fell to the ground, because I was dying when I first saw that shit though. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, why not like? If you didn't, you could dislike, subscribe. Really enjoyed. But yeah, I really enjoy Another Alive. It's anime I watched back in the day and I really loved. I finally own it on Blu-ray, because this is something that's very hard to get now, and I actually got that for really cheap compared to like how how it actually goes online, I will say that though. But it's one I really enjoy a lot. Yes, I will say some of the stuff, they try to be too edgy with some of the deaths because they try and just add a whole bunch of just, you know, like TV type of stuff and just being like, how extreme can we get with these deaths? Because like if you go back to the source material was not as crazy, of course, as the anime is. And of course for the anime, you know, they have to do stuff a little bit more extreme, mainly because it's a TV compared to a novel. Because like a novel, you can go more in detail with some stuff, and of course for an anime, you have to go with something that's more interesting, that way it can catch people's attention. And that's essentially what the anime did when you compare it to the novel. But we'll do that in another video though. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye.